Support for CFO Thought Leader comes from Plantful and U.S. Bank.
Hi, I'm Karen Williams, CFO of American Express Global Business Travel. You are listening to the CFO Thought Leader podcast.
A bonus episode.
Having alignment early on between all of the go-to-market efforts are really a function of knowing what the long-term strategy is and organizing around the customer's journey. And in our case, that customer journey really helped us focus around a common platform or system, and then how that system and our teams could grow with the sales leadership and the go-to-market leadership, because there wasn't a common understanding of what revenue ops can or should do for the company. Some people think it's keep it low cost. Others think it's supposed to, drive sales. Somewhere in between is supporting the leadership, the decision making, and making sure that you have alignment on those groups.
Hi, it's Jack. On today's episode, we take a deep dive into the realm of revenue ops when we welcome back Mark Partin, CFO of BlackLine. Nearly a decade ago, when Mark Partin first stepped into the CFO office at BlackLine, the concept of sales ops, or revenue ops, was still in its infancy. Tasked with building the function from scratch, Partin's team oversaw its evolution into a world-class organization, aligning finance, sales, and customer success to better support the company's growth. Having featured Mark on a recent episode of CFO Thought Leader, we invited him back to highlight for us some of the key milestones, challenges, and strategic insights from BlackLine's revenue ops journey, revealing just how this functional area became a pivotal driver of the company's success and a model of financial and operational alignment for sustainable growth. We take a deep dive into revenue ops with Mark Partin after this. Are you tired of manual, fragmented, and time-consuming expense management processes? Then the U.S. Bank Commercial Rewards Card might be right for your business. More than just a card, it's an all-in-one card, expense, and travel management solution that replaces outdated expense management methods with a single intuitive platform. Specifically designed to scale with your growing business, it provides the control and real-time insights into spend that you need. It integrates with your existing tools, lets you set custom spend policies, captures all expenses automatically, and liability is kept at the corporate level. Employees can even book travel right in the platform. You also get to choose your rewards, either points or rebates, all while saving money with no annual fee. So why wait? Manage your cash flow better and streamline your business operations today with the U.S. Bank Commercial Rewards Card. Visit usbank.com/CFO to learn more. Mark, thank you for sitting once more in the interview chair. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Like a lot of companies, particularly in technology, sales ops was built to support sales. And over the years, as sales became more complicated or complex and the sale evolved, sales ops ultimately became revenue ops. But in the early days, really it was around how do we leverage analysis, information, data, and systems to put as much at the fingertips of our sales leaders and our sales reps as possible. And we were an integral part in sales ops of a customer chain of events. And that's really where it began.
Can you share some of the milestones, perhaps? We're wondering, how long did it take to become sort of a formalized function?
Oh, yeah.
And were there certain key pieces that had to be pulled into place?
Yeah, that's right. Today we're over $700 million in revenue. We're knocking on the door of $1 billion. So we've had quite a mature revenue ops group for a while. But in the early days when we were building it, it was really around the system, around Salesforce.com, which was our customer management system, and putting the right protocols in place so that from contract management to customer information could be used out in the field. So our sales team was, and continues to be, direct sales, selling software to customers and spread all over the globe. So we needed to have information and systems that they could use to, manage their customer. And the reality is, in the early days, was really around just bookings, sales, right? Trying to get the sales information and get the salesperson happy. But as you know, sales is so much more than just a sales rep.
Tell us about your first moves then. You step into the role, you want to get familiar with everybody. You don't want to come in with here's how it's going to be done going forward. You reached out to people, built some relationships, and then there was a point in time where you said, we need to do this a little differently. I don't know. What was what prompted you to begin to execute some changes and get more mind share behind the initiative?
So originally the ownership of sales ops was a former CFO and somebody who reported directly to the head of sales. And then as we grew up, what we realized is that each group in the go-to-market effort had a operations person and that they had become siloed. So if you were in marketing or you were in sales or services or partners, and that's how we sort of define this go-to-market operation, you had your own systems, data, way of doing business and supporting your leader. But what you really want, and when I took over, within the last couple of years, I worked closely prior to that, but it started a couple years ago to roll into the office of the CFO. And we can talk about the benefits of converging go-to-market ops to the CFO office, because I think there's many complementary benefits and efforts. But what we're trying to do is manage a go-to-market operations. Again, we call it revenue ops because it's a revenue cycle based on a customer journey. The marketing and, acquisition of a customer and then their experience and journey throughout the lifetime of that customer had to be managed more consistently with better information so that the people in the front of that customer's journey were seeing and hearing the same thing in the back of that customer's journey. And so what happens to companies, and ours included, is that we had very good operations people around the globe supporting each of their individual go-to-market leaders. But none of those go-to-market leaders were consistent enough so that the customer was seeing a smoother, consistent experience. And so the go-to-market ops, when I stepped in, and we have a great leader there now, and we have a really large global team, they're inspired to be consistent throughout that customer's life cycle, to have a single source of truth, something that from the very beginning to the end is important to the office of the CFO. Have systems that support and is a common platform for all users, because that can be really important to getting the single source of truth. And then there's a whole variety of things that we do to partner with the leadership. So again, marketing, service, sales, and partners, so that they're on one, customer experience.
Now, do you recall, were there any critical turning points in building those cross-functional partnerships?
Yeah,
you think about, perhaps you had marketing on board first, or, what was the sequence?
Well, we've had our share of success and some failures. And so systems transformation internally usually brings out the truth, right? Like where are we failing our sales reps or our customer team? And that was in our systems. How we designed it up front was serving some of those constituents in sales, but not others in marketing who couldn't quite see the disposition of their pipeline they were building and that, engagement they were having with the sales reps. So we needed to find those critical moments of productivity and engagement to have a smoother journey for the customer, but also so that marketing could see their value, sales could engage earlier in the process, and on and on. And so really systems implementations and transformations where we had nearly 100 systems, SaaS, cloud, great best of breed applications to give us all the information we needed, but over 100 that were being relied on in the go-to-market group. And those systems needed to speak to each other. They needed to support the single source of truth. So that began the journey of, all right, in order to have systems, we need more alignment and more connectivity between these groups. And that's where this concept of revenue ops really took hold. So for me, and if I go back over the years, it was more about what the CFO sees as the outcome and output. And what we started focusing on is what are the inputs? Because that engagement with the rep or the customer and those inputs live all the way down into your accounting team. So you had to get those right up front and design the right, the right inputs.
Can you give us an example of what those inputs, what exactly were they?
So, quote to cash was a system that when you start to put that together, which runs from, the sales rep in the field that needs to have a dynamic discussion with the customer and have flexibility to move throughout our products, throughout our services, you give them a lot of flexibility. And then that flexibility turns into a lot of customization or configuration that's very unique to a situation. And that over time, you might build a lot of SKUs, you might build a lot of, special pricing. And anybody who's in this office or in this role knows that, okay, I have created greater flexibility at the point of sale. That's important. But I have created a host of complexities downstream for billing, for revenue management, for the customer team. So a lot of that existed, and you have to find this balance between, standardization and customization or flexibility.
It was perhaps awkward at first, and then you realized you were getting the momentum. The organization was finally showing results. Do you recall when that first occurred to you?
Yeah. So, our company's been, we've been a rapid growth company for many, many years. And so your front end and your sales outstrip your back end investments. It's just the nature of growth orientation. And so over the last 3 or 4 years, particularly since COVID, where a lot of CFOs had to double efforts for how can we operate more remotely? How can we have systems and data that's more capable to manage our growth and our expansion globally? And so once I started, we started putting people in the same room, and then we got a new set of leaders coming into that go-to-market at all levels. And then I found a very experienced, incredible leader in that revenue ops team who was systems savvy and also customer friendly, meaning anyone he deals with, he understands the business and he understands how to get stuff done, but he knows that there's a system capability that exists. So from automation. And I think once we started bringing people together, and this was within the last several years, once we started bringing people together, we started to find opportunities for greater engagement, more alignment, reducing some of the complexities, or I call them barnacles, that kind of build up on the system. And then we became more efficient. So we've seen a number of benefits. And it's a constant process. So you're never really done. It's just constantly evolving. You add new partners, you add a new region in the market, you add new products. All of these things have to be brought to market and through the system to the customer at the right time. So I would tell you today, we're a much more efficient organization on where our investments are going, that we've narrowed our number of systems that we rely on, that we have people that are partnered. So a go-to-market ops team or a revenue ops team, it's new to me, the name revenue ops, which is why I keep saying go-to-market ops. These are partnered people that are operating in the region as a number one partner to the regional leader in that area. And so once we have that, I think it gives us an opportunity to go fix some of the other, things that we want to accomplish.
Last time we spoke, you gave us a nice overview of your 5, let's call them top of mind metrics, metrics that matter to you.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a specific metric or KPI that came to play a central role in BlackLine's revenue ops strategy as it evolved. There was this one metric that finally you were able to use and put to work and educate other parts of the RevOps team about. Is there any one metric that you can just zero in on for us?
Any one? I would struggle. I can give you a few, and some of the ones I mentioned before were around sales and the efficacy of the sales effort. So our ability to get the return and measuring that. But I would say specifically in RevOps, what our team is really focused on is productivity and efficiency of the sales team. And what I mean by that is it's not always this way, but in our revenue ops team, we manage enablement for the sales team, for all the go-to-market teams, and we also manage the incentive comp. And those are 2 areas where we can really support our sales leaders and the sales team. So onboarding them, educating them on the new products and the products that are coming in, helping sales methodology, selling value, orienting towards macro changes, whether it's COVID, whether it's, platform-driven software usage, whatever the sales rep is facing, from competition to price pressure to new products and innovation. Enabling them and incenting that behavior really does focus on having a productivity bell curve that most CFOs are familiar with. You need a certain level of production from everybody, and you have some at the top end and you have some at the low end. We want the best, most excited, inspired, capable salespeople on the street. And we want them working with our partners. We want them working with our marketing teams, and we want them focused on the customer and the customer's journey. Because if you're selling something that needs to last 10 to 15 years at a minimum, and that's how long our customers, once they come in, that's how long they last, then you better be engaged with the success of the, customer's journey.
What was the last major milestone then? When did you, as it matured and it grew, what was one of the more recent ones?
I'll give you a great example. So one of the things we were doing early on, and this is common, is we were controlling the enablement, the education. So in order to do that, we wanted a consistent message. We want, all of our salespeople to have access at any given time. And so we were managing a throughput, which was, a single point of contact, a single system, and everyone came through that person so that, you didn't overwhelm sales reps. The details of this are important. If you're a rep and you have 80 hours of, training in a year, and then you have everyone in the company trying to send you things from HR to legal to building safety training, whatever it is they're getting, they can get overwhelmed and you can damage your productivity as well as consistent training. And so we had narrowed it to just one person, one system, and we control the message. Well, that wasn't sustainable. And so what we've been able to do now is crowdsource effectively, use a system where it can manage the consistency, but our product leaders in different areas, our competitive strategy and intelligence can all be posting and filtering information to the rep from multiple points of the business so that it happens real time, all the time. And the system, we're using a system to manage that flow and that capability and monitor the sales culture of, are you engaging with the data? How much time are you spending with it? And then feeding that back to their leadership. So that's an area where, as a milestone, we would tell you our sales reps today are more productive. They're delivering more than they were a year or two ago. But most importantly, they're a greater resource and asset for their customers because we know what's in their head. We know what we're giving them and how we're training them. And that's better.
Finally, we want to ask you what advice you would have for companies aiming to build a RevOps organization today. And they're at the start of this. So you're going to have to look back in time and feel all the pains that you once did. But based on BlackLine's journey and milestones, what advice would you have?
Yeah, having lived through now what is a 10-year journey of building the sales ops we talked about earlier to a revenue ops team, I would say, having alignment early on between all of the go-to-market efforts are really a function of knowing what the long-term strategy is and organizing around the customer's journey. And in our case, that customer journey really helped us focus around a common platform or system, and then how that system and our teams could grow with the sales leadership and the go-to-market leadership, because there wasn't a common understanding of what revenue ops can or should do for the company. Some people think it's keep it low cost. Others think it's supposed to, drive sales. Somewhere in between is supporting the leadership, the decision making, and making sure that you have alignment on those groups. So a really common understanding of where you want to take your revenue ops team and then start to build that from systems and people.
Well, that's where our conversation with CFO Mark Partin came to an end. However, we did want to leave you with sort of an extra bonus from our original discussion with Mark. We wanted to share once again his list of metrics with you. Now, every time we ask this question to a finance leader, it can be very revealing. Sometimes it's a metric that they don't mention. Sometimes it's why did they choose the metrics they do? The emphasis differs from one finance leader to the next. We thought Mark Partin gave a wonderful breakdown of his top 5 metrics, and we thought we'd share that with you again, and we will do so right after this. Ready to plan confidently, close faster, and report more accurately? Here's what sets Planful apart. Imagine purpose-built applications for every department, from FP&A to accounting, marketing to HR, all with built-in financial intelligence. It's easy to implement Planful in just weeks and with minimal IT involvement, so you can rapidly and seamlessly engage everyone across the business on your key financial progress. Best of all, Planful grows with you. Its unparalleled scalability ensures that no matter how fast your business expands, Planful can keep up. See why over 1,500 customers worldwide choose Planful as their flexible, user-friendly, end-to-end financial performance management platform. Go to planful.com/CFO Thought Leader to see how you can reach peak financial performance with Planful. Mark, as is our custom, we have to ask you about metrics. What would you share with us? What are those top of mind metrics for you?
I used to look at a lot of metrics inside the organization, and now I focus on five and five only, and they're very relevant in our industry and its cycle. So that's why. The first one is ARR growth, which is how's the company growing? How much are you putting in the bucket for the future? The second one is a dollar-based revenue retention rate. For the companies that I am keeping, what is the additional spend from them, right? That's the expansion rate inside existing customers. And I'm explaining these because you might have non-tech customers that don't follow it this way. But in our business, retention rate is a measure of the land and expand model. So it's very common to land inside the controller's office and then to expand through a number of, global rollouts, additional products and services, all of that. So that's the retention rate. The third one for us, actually the third, fourth, and fifth one have started to come into focus for me in this macro cycle where the rule of 40 is a very important measure. How are you growing versus how are you generating profit? And that balance of revenue growth rate plus your operating margin or free cash flow rate is important because you invest more, you grow faster, you grow slower, you invest less. It's kind of this balance of responsible or profitable growth. So that's the third one. The fourth one is sales efficacy. People do this through a number of different ways. There's a magic number. The way we do it is how much does $1 of ARR cost us to acquire in sales and marketing? And this was very common in the early days of being IPO was to look at unit economics, because so many companies in a tech cycle lose money in their early years, and you've got to look at, will scale drive profitability? We've been profitable. We generate a lot of cash, but the sales efficacy is your investors' measure of, are you going to market efficiently, and are you able to expand your business at the right level of cost? And that's an important one. And then ARR per FTE. This is a trend, I think, over the last 2 years, and I didn't look at this before, but this is how, in technology industry, how a lot of companies are measuring their ability to grow profitably, keep some measure of investment in the future, right? I mean, we're managing Horizon 1, 2, and 3 growth, and you need talent on board, but you need the right talent at the right time, balanced against the business. Too many people, you start to get, some of the problems we had in the past as an industry, and too few, you burn people out. So ARR per FT is a really important metric. Those are the big five. Everything else, like if you're measuring culture for decision velocity and looking at employee surveys, those are two things I look at a lot. Our company is going through this sort of massive growth, transformation, and in doing that, I look at those two metrics as well. And then, I can tell you that my direct reports and other executives look at probably 100 metrics that we put in our reporting, but those are the big five.
Mark Partin, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Jack here. Hope you've been enjoying our recent episodes of CFO Thought Leader. Please know that I don't take for granted this opportunity to serve you. Your time is valuable, and of course, so is the time of our CFO guests. I'll admit to you on certain weeks, I will pinch myself and say, hey, I get to do this for a living. I speak to all these impressive leaders. Undoubtedly, there are more aggressive interviewers out there, some who leave no stone unturned. But our swim lane is for finance leaders only. And those finance leaders have a unique style of leadership, one that is rooted in the burden of trust. In light of this, finance leaders must take great care not to forfeit this trust as they step into the role of being a more expressive leader. And that is what CFO Thought Leader is really about. That's why I try to remind myself week in, week out, how fortunate I am. Still, I need your help. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Email me your comments at jack@cfothoughtleader.com. And please visit cfothoughtleader.com. You'll find a listener survey right on the nav bar. As always, thank you for listening.